Okay, Rabotai, we were holding in Talmud Bava Mizrach Sanhedrin in the fourth parak on Daf Lamed Gimel Amud Bet. That is in 33B1 in the Art Scroll edition of the Talmud. We're going back to the Mishnah that discussed, the part of the Mishnah that discussed that if there was judgment against somebody in Dine Nefashos and Dine capital punishment cases, and he was made innocent, that if later someone comes up with a reason to acquit him, to make him innocent, we would reverse the judgment. But if we would make him innocent, we would not be able to reverse it and make him guilty. So this is what we said. This is what we said in the Mishnah. So let's take a look at the Gemara. The Gemara says, Danu Rabbanan, Menayin leyotze mebet din hayav, ואמר אחד יש לי ללמד עליו זכות, מנין שמחזרין אותו. From where do we know that if someone left the bet din guilty, and then someone, it means they're going to kill him. And then someone says, one of the judges or someone who was there says, I have a reason to acquit him, make him innocent, that we return him and we change the psak. Now, just to know that from judgment to execution wasn't a very long time. It was maybe minutes or hours. They would take him out of Beit Din, get the execution in place ready, and then execute him. So it seems to be saying that if during that time they're taking him to be executed, they come up with a reason to make him innocent, they immediately return to him. Loimar, Talmud Loimar, because it says in Pasuk, Naki al taharo. So the pasuk actually it's quoting. If you look at note 10, the pasuk says V'naki mitzadik al taharo. Pasuk in Shemot that says an innocent and a righteous person don't kill. The Rana Gemara says Naki al taharo, just taking the word Naki, don't kill. That means an innocent person. If you have reason for innocence, don't kill him. Uminayim liyotzeh betin zakai. How do we know if someone left betin zakai, meaning they acquitted him? They said, you're free of the charges, you're not going to be killed. But now they let him go. And someone says, I have a reason to make him obligated and making and a reason to convict him and kill him. How do we don't go back? Once he's becomes a tzaddik, we don't kill him. Meaning, once Betin went through the process and they said he was innocent, then we'll leave it at that. He's a tzaddik now. In that case, that the tzaddik hadin, the righteousness of the judgment was done. And even though it may have been an error, and now he's off the hook, we don't bring him back. So we see if someone who's really innocent, we don't kill him. Even if he was sentenced to death, we bring him back, we retry it, we let him go. If someone who's innocent, and now you find a reason to make him guilty, we don't bring him back. And once he was found, tzaddik al taharo. Now, the Gemara says very interesting. Amar Reb Simi bar Ashi, b'chilufa lemesit. However, this is generally speaking someone who is hayab mitah, and we try to free him. We don't want him to be killed, right? Well, menaki tzaddik al taharo. However, when it comes to an instigator of avodah zarah, someone who not only sins with avodah zarah himself, he gets other Jews to sin with him to make the sin of avodah zarah. This guy, the pasuk says, "Lo tachmo v'lo techaseh alav." You cannot pity him, and you don't cover for him. Look in the article note 11. It brings from the Rashash. Do not pity him teaches that we do not reopen the case to consider any new arguments for acquittal. Meaning, if someone instigates people to do avodah zarah and you found him guilty, and he's going out to be killed, and now someone says I have a reason to make him innocent, we do not listen when it comes to an instigated for avodah zarah. The second clause, do not cover for him, teaches that new arguments for conviction may not be ignored. If he's found innocent and someone says, wait, I have a reason to make him guilty, you have to go back and listen to it in order to make him guilty. When it comes to an instigator, we have to find a way and a reason to get him killed. All other hayab mita cases is the opposite. We try to find a reason to make him innocent and not kill him. When it comes to an instigator, it's a very, very, very terrible sin. We'll try to find every reason to have him killed. Okay, now, now, what he said comes to capital punishment cases, in the majority of cases, except for the instigator of Zarah, but in most cases, that if he's found innocent, we don't go back and retry it. And if he's found guilty, we're able to retry it to make him innocent. Does this only apply by capital punishment? Or does this also apply in other forms of punishment that are related to capital punishment? For example, the Gemara says, what about Chayivei Galiot, right? Someone who killed someone by accident, he has to go, it's called an Ari Miklat, right? But he has to make sure that it was actually a real accident and he deserves to go to Ari Miklat. So let's say they made a mistake and they say he didn't have to go to Ari Miklat. Or they said he has to go to Ari Miklat, and now they have a reason not to put him into exile. Do we treat it as capital punishment cases that once he's innocent, he stays innocent, and if he's guilty, you could retry it? Gemara says, Atya roseach roseach. Look at 14. He brings two psukim that have the word roseach. One by the killing by shogeg, killing by accident, and one by the murderer shall die. Moshe Masa roseach. So you see the word Rotseach becomes Xer Shava. So you compare them both. And therefore, that it is compared. As such, if they said he's innocent by someone who's supposed to go to exile and they say he doesn't have to, they cannot retry the case. And if they said he has to go to exile and now they have a reason to acquit him from there, we would do that, just like capital punishment. Now the Gemara asks, what about Chayivei Malkuyot? What about those that have to get Malkus, have to get lashes? Is that also like capital punishment? Gemara says, Atya Rasha Rasha. We have an example Shava, Rasha. It says, look at note 16, Lo Tukhu Choyfer L'Nefesh Rotseach. And then it says, Vaya'im ben Hakot Harasha. So you see the Malkut is like capital punishment in this sense. And if they said he's innocent and not to get it, then they can't go back in it. If they said he's guilty and they have a reason not to make him innocent, they would listen to it. So to have a teaching, and so here you have it, that Malkiot and Galut and capital punishment. If he's found innocent, he stays innocent. And if he's found guilty, you can always have a reason to make him innocent. You can always bring up that reason. And then we have the separate case of the instigator of Avodah Zarah. Then him, on the other hand, you have to always try to kill him. So if you made him innocent, you always go back and make him guilty. And if you made him guilty, you do not go back to try to find him making innocent. You will actually keep him at guilty. Okay? Yeah.
What's the definition that Avodah Zarah? How can we prove it? Like, what do they go by in order to make sure that the person is Avodah Zarah, in order to reconvict a person?
Right. So what's considered a masis, or someone who instigates others to Avodah Zarah? He has to be the one that you have to have proof. Obviously, you have to have evidence. You have to have two witnesses that come and say he did it. And what it is basically, he's telling people come and serve Avodah Zarah, and he has he takes them away from Hashem. As long as you have witnesses to that warned him that he's not allowed to do that, and then they said that he did it, then that would be it.
He goes for the same case if he's just found guilty of worshiping idol by himself without including others.
No. So if
So,
it's just himself, no, he's not. We don't. We'll try to. We'll try to find a way to make him innocent and not kill him.
but why? The Torah says you have to kill him. Why do we find
Yes.
favor?
Yes, but it's only by an instigator, right? Because this is something very big in Judaism, is that there's a difference between you making avodah zarah and you causing other people to make avodah zarah. It's worse, sir, when you make other people's do avodah zarah, do avirot, because you can make tshuva some sense, some way. If you can, it's up to you. But once you make other people do a sin, it's not up to you to make them do tshuva. So it's a much worse thing. And so a masis is someone who instigates others to do avodah zarah. Now you're right. If he is doing avodah zarah and two witnesses tell him you can't do avodah zarah, he does avodah zarah anyway, and you have proof to it, then he technically can be killed. But if we can find the reason to make him innocent, or he didn't know, or he thought, or the warning wasn't good, or whatever it was, you can get out of it. But when it comes to an instigator, we have to try very hard to make him guilty. Okay? All right. Now, so we did that right. We do not return it l'chova, meaning if someone is innocent, we're not going to find. Now someone comes and says, "Oh, he's a reason to be guilty." We're not going to go back to it. However, there is a qualification. Even though someone is innocent from the court, there may be a time that we do go back. When is this? This is true when you say someone is innocent, that we don't go back to make him guilty. This is true when it is not a clear halacha from the Torah itself. If it's something that's the tzedukah, they were like reformers, right? They say we only believe the Torah shebechtav, whatever is written in the Torah, that's what we hold up. We don't listen to our Torah Shabbat anything the rabbi said. So what Rabbi Yochanan is saying, that if the Beit Din made a mistake and said the man was innocent, and they made a mistake based on psukim in the Torah, simple understanding, the simple shot of psukim in the Torah, they made a mistake on that, then their verdict was not a verdict, but rather it was a mistake. And as such, you could go back, because just go open the Torah and read it. But if they made a mistake in rabbinic interpretation, that's when we say the innocence stands and we do not go back. That's the case. If it's a mistake in rabbinic interpretation or halacha or something that's in the Talmud, not a beferish, not an explicit verse in the Torah. That's his qualification. So it's true, once you say someone's innocent, we don't go back to kill him. But that's only if it's not a mistake in a clear pasuk in the Torah. So Boy Minei Rabbi Chiya bar Abba Rabbi Yochanan. So Chiya bar Abba now asks from Rabbi Yochanan, Ta'ab beno ef beno efet mahu. What's the case if you made a mistake about an adulterer and an adulteress? Okay, so married woman is with a man, adulterer and adulteress. Now, obviously, in order to kill them, you need to get witnesses who saw it, and the fact that they were warned. So we can make certain that this case it wasn't rape, but it was rather consent. They were consenting to each other, and the question is if the judges acquitted them, said no, they're innocent, they don't have to be killed. They made a mistake. They thought that they were innocent, or one of them was innocent. They made a mistake clearly, because the Torah says if no effort, an adulterer and adulteress, they are chayamita. So what happened if the judges made a mistake here, and they said they are innocent? So Amar Lei, so Yochanan said, Ad mokadach yakid zilkot karach utzlei. While your fire is burning, cut your squash and roast them. This means that you're right. This is exactly the case that I'm talking about. That if the judges made a mistake in saying that an adulterer and adulteress are not chayav mitah and they're free to walk, that's a mistake in a clear psukim in the Torah. It's not a mistake in rabbinic interpretation. Right? If you take a look at note 19 in the Art Scroll, it says when it comes to murder, there's a lot of different things you have to take a look at. Maybe he can say it was self-defense. Maybe he can say it was this. There's many different things. But when in adultery cases, there's no subtle issues that can lead a judge to acquit the accused mistakenly. Any error in favor of the guilty couple would seem to involve a ruling explicitly contradicted by the Torah. So that is the case. So Itmar Nami, Amar Ami, Amar B'Yochanan, Ta'a Benoef Pozer. If ever a court made a mistake and said in Noef, an adulterer, adulteress, they are not Hayab Mitah, that is an incorrect ruling. It's not that they're innocent, but rather the ruling was an error completely, the Gamre, and therefore you have to retry the case and get a real verdict. That wasn't a real verdict. So now the Gemara says, Dami ain't chosrin. But the Mishnah said that if someone is innocent, you do not return. Where is there a case by Noef, because the Mishnah didn't say except by Noef and Noef. Never said that. So it must be by Noef that there's also a case where the judges made a mistake and said they're innocent, and you do not return to kill them. But we just said you always would, because it's a clear pasuk. Okay. It's where the judges made a mistake when it was shaloi kedarka. Kedarka, shaloi kedarka means the way the man is with the woman. Kedarka means the natural way. Okay. The natural way of having relations and intercourse with a woman. That's clear in the pasuk. That if a man was with a married woman in a natural way, that is completely clear in the pasuk. They're hayamita. So if the Beit Din made a mistake in that case, that mistake is a huge mistake, and therefore it's not considered a verdict. They're not innocent. You have to retry the case and make them guilty. However, what happened if the Beit Din made a mistake when it's shaloi kedarka? That means the man had intercourse with the woman. I hope you know kids around, but anal wise. Okay, so it was not through the normal way of being with the woman, but rather it was through a different hole, and as such, it wasn't kedarka, shaloi kedarka. Now lahalacha, our chachamim say that shaloi kedarka is also considered bia, is also considered intercourse, and as such, it is considered noef and noefet, and they should be killed, both of them. But that's a mistake. Not a clear pasuk. Right, that's where the Chachamim learn from the Psukim. But it's not a clear in pasuk that if someone had unnatural relations with a woman, then they would have to be killed. That's not clear from the Psukim. The Psukim are clear that if it's a natural, for sure. So that is the case where you would not return if the Beit Din made a mistake in that case. So if a man was with a woman in an unnatural way, and then the Beit Din said that they were potter, they didn't have to be killed, they're not chaya misa, and you would leave it at that, and you would not.
Question.
Yes.
If a Jewish man makes an avera with the goyah, with the natural way of intimacy, it's karet, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, I'm not 100%, but yeah.
But if it's anally with the goya, is it correct or no?
According to the Chacham, yeah, it should be.
But it's not a natural way of doing
Because
it.
the Chacham say that natural and unnatural are both considered to be it's both considered intercourse. Even anal is considered intercourse, according to the Chacham.
Okay.
Yeah. According to the Chachamim, both of them are considered because it says mishkevei, right? Take a look at note 22. It says mishkevei isha, sleepings with the woman, right? Mishkevei, copulations. It's a plural, and therefore sodomy of a woman, which is anal, right, is also legally defined as an act of copulation. According to the Chachamim, that's the way they learn. So, yeah, whatever would be natural and unnatural would be the same din. Okay.
What would be unnatural where he or they won't be put to death penalty, if there is one?
I don't know. He says
Okay, so based on the examples, I understand that pretty much everything is considered whether natural or not. It will be hayomita, right?
That's what it seems to be saying. Copulation is plural, so it means the Torah indicates that there are two forms of legally recognized copulation in the case of a woman: natural and unnatural. Now, usually when the Gemara says shaloi kedarka, it means anally. I don't know if anything else would be counted one way or the other. I don't know. But usually shaloi kedarka means anally. So that's the way I've learned the Gemara. In the note, he doesn't say anything more than that. It just says unnatural and natural. It's Tzarchian. Let's go further into it. All right, let's move on to the next case. Dine Mominais. Okay. Then it said in the Mishnah that you can advance arguments in favor when it comes to capital punishment. Anyone can advance an argument in favor to make him innocent, but only the judges can advance a reason to make him guilty. Now, when it says hakol, the Gemara says, what does this mean? Hakol va'afilu eidim, does it mean also the witnesses? So the witnesses come and say, we saw Ruvain, the Shimon and Levi come and they say, we saw Ruvain do something that's chayav mitah. And now one of them wants to say, now one of Shimon and Levi, one of the witnesses say, but there's a reason to make him innocent, even though what I just said makes him guilty in my testimony with Levi. But now me as a single individual, I want to put forward a reason to make him innocent. Is that the way we're going to learn the Mishnah? That a hakol, that everyone can give a reason for innocence, includes even the Edom? Nema matnita Rabbi Yosef Yehuda. Is that to say that our Mishnah is only like Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda and not the Rabbanim? The Tanya, the Eid Echad lo ya'anev nefesh. It says in pasuk, the Eid Echad lo ya'anev nefesh. We're going to see how this pasuk we learn it out from in a minute, which means bein l'schut, bein l'chayva. That you cannot speak, not for the schut and not for the chova. Witness cannot bring a reason for acquittal or for conviction. No, the witness could give a reason for acquitting the ain't only chova, but he does not give a reason for conviction. He just gives his testimony. Not necessarily. When the Mishnah says hakol, it's not talking about witnesses at all. It means be'echad min hatalmidim b'divrei hakol. The Mishnah is just meaning that any of the rabbi's students, any of the judges' students, the students of the judges sat in the building. They sat in front of the rabbis, right? The rabbi sat over here, they all sat in a semicircle, and the students sat in front of them. So if any of the students had a reason for innocence, they can get up and say. Not only that, the Gemara is going to tell us later on, the Mishnah is going to tell us that a student who advances a reason for innocence, for that case, he's elevated to a judge with voting rights. So if a student advances a reason for innocence, he gets voting rights, and he is elevated to a judge for that case. And that's what the Mishnah is talking about when it says hakol. Talking about the students there. It's not talking about the witnesses themselves. Now, my town of Yosef Bar Yehuda, what's the reason Yosef Bar Yehuda that he says that a witness could say something in favor, but cannot say something to convict? The Amar Kra, Eid Echad Lo Yaneh B'Nefesh Lamut. The pasuk says one witness shouldn't talk about one to die. Lamut Ude'ena Oneh. It means he shouldn't talk in favor of killing someone. But in order to acquit him, he should speak. So here you have Shimon and Levi coming and giving a testimony that seems to be putting Ruvain to death based on their testimony. And then Shimon can say, oh, by the way, there's a reason why he should be acquitted and not killed. Now, the Rabbanan say, no, the witness can't do this. Once the witness gives testimony, he can't go ahead and give any argument, neither in favor of acquittal or neither in favor of conviction. Amar Reish Lakish Mishum the Mechazi Kenogea be'edoto, because a witness appears to be partial. What means? La'alacha, once witnesses give testimony, they're not allowed to retract their testimony. Even if they try to retract it, it doesn't get retracted. We listen to what they said first. Now, what happens if the guy gave false testimony, right? And now he's scared that they're going to bring Adam Zayman. They're going to bring other witnesses. They're going to say that you weren't possible to be there because you were with us that day when that happened and you didn't see anything. So, and then they're going to be punished with the way they try to punish someone else. Let's say he sees this happening. So the first set of witnesses, they're going to say, you know what? Let's give a reason why he's innocent. This way, they'll make him innocent. He won't get punished, and we won't get punished if we're found out to be Adam's own women. Therefore, Reish Lakish says that a witness who, after gives testimony, seems to say, "Oh, but he might actually be innocent." He's nogeya. It seems like he wants to contradict himself in order to not get in trouble, and therefore we can't have that because witnesses cannot retract their testimony. If you're going to start advancing reasons for favors, and waiting for acquittal, then it feels like you're contradicting yourself, and that you cannot do. Now, Rabbanan, my dorish ban. The pasuk says you shouldn't talk to kill someone. What does that mean? What does lamut mean? So it means as follows: Mokmei le be'echad min hatalmidim. Kedetanya. How do we know? Right to the store. How do you know if the aide says I have a reason to acquit it? We don't listen to him. One witness shouldn't talk. Meaning, after you gave your testimony, you cannot start advancing reasons for innocence or for guilt. How do we know if one of the students want to give a reason to convict him? How do we know we don't listen to him? One, shouldn't talk about trying to kill someone. I mean, the student should not be offering reasons for conviction, but implied from there is that a student could give reasons for acquittal. That is that is the halacha. The halacha is that witnesses can't talk after they give testimony. I believe that is the halacha. Whereas the students can definitely offer the reason for acquittal, and they cannot offer a reason for conviction. Okay, let me just quickly see the halacha here. Let's see, 134A. No. Right. So that is halacha. The aid does not a witness who testifies against an accused in case of capital law is prohibited from stating a claim supporting his innocence or liability. Okay, so when it comes to dini nefashot, he cannot advance any argument. In cases of monetary law, a witness can't advance a claim of either type. So this is only by dini nefashot, but dini mamonot it'll be different. All right, ready to move on to the next trivia?
So
Okay.
when do the judges ask the witnesses for an opinion on the decision?
We don't. When it comes to capital punishment cases, we do not ask the witnesses for anything other than the testimony.
Correct. So, okay. And the idea that the student cannot support the idea of death is just to prepare them to be more what? Lenient or what?
No, because the pasuk says, "Echad lo ya'aneh lenefesh lemut." One should not be speaking about killing someone, meaning that you're not a judge. You don't get the right to talk about convicting someone to death. You want to talk about saving someone, that would be permissible. Whether the reason they seem to basing it on a pasuk. I hear what you're trying to say. Trying to say you want to teach it to be good judges, to find a way to let people off. It's not
Right.
more things though. It could be, but it's not really more sense. It could be.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Dine nefashos hamalamed. All right. What did we say? The Mishnah said as follows: if a judge advances a reason to acquit, to make the person innocent, he cannot go back and change his reason to guilty. That's what the Mishnah said. So Amarav, this Rav says the qualification. This is only true during the deliberation. I mean, during when they're arguing if the guy's innocent or guilty, if you said innocent first, you cannot go back and say guilty. Aval b'shat gemardin, but rather when they are tallying the vote at the end, and they're asking everybody, what's your final opinion and the reason for that opinion? He can go ahead and he can switch from a zechut to a chova. So we don't allow him to switch during the deliberations, but during the final judgment, we do allow him to switch his opinion. The reason for this being is, the way the Parshim explained, is that if you said innocent, we want you to stick to your guns. We want you to find reason to make him innocent. If afterwards, all the deliberations you hear and everything that you hear makes you feel he's guilty now, then you have to be able to vote your conscience. You have to be able to say what you actually believe at that point. So therefore, you're allowed to switch it at that time. That is what Rav said. So Rav says, and that's halacha l'maisa, but Rav says that you cannot change your opinion during deliberations, but during the Gemar Din, during the final judgment, you could switch it over. So now the Gemara is going to ask over and over again on Rav. They're going to try to disprove Rav. They're not going to be able to, but they're going to try to disprove Rav from multiple places. Meitzveh. It says in the Mishnah, in the following Mishnah, that we know that if you want to kill the guy, you want to convict him, you can't do it on the same day that the case started. You have to hear the case. You think you're going to kill him, you have to wait the night, and the next morning you can come back. So it says when you come back in the morning, and Hamazake, the one who said he was innocent, says, Ani Hamazake, Umazake Anivim Komi. I'm the one who said he's innocent, and I remain in my place, meaning I stick to my position. I'm a chayiv omer, Ani am a chayiv, Anivim Komi. I'm the one who said he's argued for conviction, and I maintain my position for conviction. The one who says he's guilty can change to zechut. The one who said he was innocent cannot switch from innocent to guilt, to conviction. Now, now that you're telling me it was happening on the next day means after the first day you deliberated, and now you're coming to the vote. And it says here that if you said zechut, you cannot switch to chovah. And Rav, you're saying that you could. And Gemara answers l'tamich. For 1 second, think about what you're saying. L'mocharat maseh umatan mileka, kiketani b'sha'at maseh umatan. When it's taught by maseh umatan, he's saying, what, on the second day there's no more deliberations? They just come and right away vote? No, they come and they do a little deliberation. I said like this, you said like that. So during that time of deliberations on the second day, that's when you're not allowed to switch. But when it comes to the Gemar Din, to the votes, then you're allowed to switch. And you can say if you originally said innocence, you're allowed to switch to guilt. So for Rav, the Gemara was able to successfully defend Rav. Now, they're going to ask another question on Rav. Shema, ad shiyira echad min danin elu keneged elu. They debate each other. Ad sheyira echad min mechayev ben divrei mazakin. Ve'im eita leitnei nami ibcha. Okay, so the Gemara's question is as follows. We know that in order to convict someone, you have to be able to have a 2-judge majority. Okay, so remember, let's start with the number 23. 23 judges on the capital punishment case. Okay, so 23. If you have 12 and 11, 12 to convict and 11 to say innocent, you cannot convict them because you only have 12. Now, if you had 13 and 10, that would work because you have more than 2 of a majority. What happens is if you're stuck at 12 and 11, no one's budging. So the halacha is you add on more judges, you go up to only 71, right? So let's say you add up to 71 and you're already stuck at the maximum number, and it's an exact even, meaning you don't have 2 majority to say conviction. What do you do? What do you do? Gemara says the Mishnah says you keep debating until someone from conviction switches his opinion to vote for acquittal, right? So now you'll have 12 and 11. Now you'll have the other way, 12 and 11. 12 for innocence and 11 for guilt. So what happens now? You only need 1 majority to make him innocent. So that's what the Mishnah said. Now the Mishnah says here what? You could switch from conviction to acquittal. It doesn't say it the other way, acquittal to conviction. And Rav said you could do that at the Gemara din. And now we're talking about the vote. And it still says from conviction to acquittal, but not acquittal to conviction. So the Gemara says, the truth is, no, it can go both ways. You can switch it. The reason why the Gemara chose to say to switch from conviction to innocent, because that's a nice way of talking. That's a better way to teach you the lesson in a more refined way, more polite way. But the truth is, it could go both ways. He could switch from acquittal to conviction. So far, the Gemara successfully defended Rav. Now the Gemara is going to ask another question to Rav. Haushman. Amar Yossi ben Chanina. Yossi ben Chanina said, if one of the students forwarded a reason, right? He brought forward a reason for acquittal, and then the student died. What do we do with his votes? Remember, I told you that a student who puts a reason for acquittal, he's elevated to a judge for the case, and he's given voting rights. So what do we do if he died? We imagine it if he was still alive and he's staying in his position of innocence. Gemara says, let's say maybe he switched his opinion, right? Because you're saying you start off acquitting, then you could change the conviction during the Gemara din. So why are we saying if the guy died, we just continue what he was saying and saying he continued to say and vote for him as innocent? But why? Maybe he would have switched his opinion. He could switch. The Gemara says, before his death, he didn't make it known that he wanted to switch his opinion. Meaning, there's no reason to assume that he wanted to switch his opinion. No one knew. He didn't tell anybody who was thinking of switching his opinion. Therefore, you leave his opinion as is. Therefore, he's voted as innocent. But because we have that's what we have to believe, that he's sticking with his idea. He never changed. The truth is, he could change, but he didn't. And they sent a message from there, from Eretz Yisrael, that said, the Divrei of Yossi bar Chanina mutzu mikla rabbeinu. Yossi bar Chanina, he is excluding the teaching of Rav, meaning he doesn't agree with Rav. He argues, and he says, if you say that person is innocent, he's acquitted, then you cannot switch it to conviction. The Gemara then says, no, that's not what it said. It's saying, en mutza itmar. It actually said that Rabbi Yossi is not excluding Rav's opinion. Rather, Rav's principle remains true. So again, we defended Rav, and Rav said that you could switch from acquittal to conviction during the Gemara din. The Gemara is going to ask its final question to Rav, and it's really the last piece that we're going to go through today. So it comes the Gemara and says, Toshma, Shnei Sofer Hadayonin Oimdim Lifneihem. Before the judges, there were two scribes, like you have in the courts now. You have the stenographers, right? They're writing everything down. One from the right, one from the left. And they write down what every judge says, whether they're saying innocence and the reason for it, or they're saying to convict and the reason for it. Now, the Gemara wants to know why they're writing it down. Bishlema, it makes sense. That those who are saying that he's convicted, it makes sense to write down the reason why. Because we already said that you can't kill the guy the same day you convict him. But there's more than that. Let's say today we think to convict him because of one reason, whatever reason. That's the reason why he's guilty. And we want to convict him, we have to wait the night. We come the next night, the next morning, and then we started talking and a little bit of deliberations, and we came up with a different reason why he's Chayav Mitzvah. He cannot kill him that day, even though it's the second day. Why? Because now that you have a new reason, you have to again wait a day. That's why the stenographers wrote down the reasons of why they said guilty. So if it's a new reason, they would have to wait another day. That's why you wrote it. That makes sense. But why are you writing it down if you're saying that he's acquitted, that he's innocent? Why do they have to write that down? Is it not because if they change their opinion, we would not listen to them. So the Gemara's question is as follows. We're writing down everybody's saying. Now, it makes sense to write down why they're saying they're chayav, because if it's a different reason, you have to wait another night. Why are you writing down why they're saying they're innocent? They're saying they're innocent, they're innocent. Why do you have to write it down? You know why they're writing it down, they're saying they were? The question is because you know why they're writing it down? In order that if they wanted to switch it, they would say, hold on, you said innocent. You cannot switch it to conviction. You have to remain innocent. That's what the Gemara is saying as a question to Rav, because Rav said you can change it. Gemara seems to be saying you cannot change it. And that's the reason why they wrote it down. The Gemara says, lo, that is not the reason why they write down. משני מקראות, כדבעה מנרב ועשים מרבי יוחנן, אמרו שניים טעם, אחד משני מקראות מהו, אמר לה, אין מועין להן, אלא אחד. Mark said no. The reason why we're writing down everybody's reason, everybody what they said, is not because we're not going to let them retract. We're going to let them retract. But the reason why we're writing it down is to know what they're basing it on. There is a halacha as follows, that there cannot be two psukim in the Torah teaching the same teaching. So if I say, me and Ephraim, we're the judges, and I say, this man is innocent based on a pasuk in Sefer Shemos that teaches this lesson, whatever, XYZ, okay, lesson XYZ, whatever it is. And then Ephraim is another judge, and he says, yes, the man is innocent for the exact same reason, but instead of using the pasuk in Shemot, he's using a pasuk in Bamidbar. So we say now, someone is mistaken, because there's no two pasuk in the Torah that are teaching the exact same lesson. Therefore, either myself or him is mistaken, and therefore only one of our votes could be counted. That's why they're writing down what everybody's saying, in order to see if anyone's saying the exact same reason and using a different pasuk, because then you would not be able to count them as two different counts. You have to count them with one vote and not as two votes. Do we understand this part? Fine. So now the Gemara says, how do we know this? How do we know this? That there's no two psukim that teach the exact same lesson. Omer Abayim, Omer Kra. It says into Tehillim, right? 23, yeah, Tehillim. To Omakra, Achati Bereluhim, Shitayim Zushamati Ki Oz Leeluhim. One thing Hashem spoke, and two things I have heard, because Hashem's strength belongs to him. Mikra Echad Yoytze L'Chama Ta'amim. One pasuk can have many different teachings. Ve'ein tam echad yoytze mikama mikraot. But you cannot have one teaching from more than one pasuk. One pasuk can have multiple teachings, but one teaching from two psukim, unheard of. It cannot be. Achati be'elim shetayim l'shamati ki yoytze l'elohim mikra echad yoytze l'chama ta'amim ve'ein tam echad yoytze mikama mikraos. And now the Gemara brings another statement. Devei Rabbi Ishmael Tanam, Uchpatish yefotzet sala. It's like a fatish that disintegrates rock. Ma patish ze mitchalek lekama nimtzotzot. Just as a hammer disintegrates, af mikra echad yotzeh l'chama ta'amin. So to one pasuk splits up into many different pieces. Now, in this pasuk, uchpatish yefotzet sala, the machloket rishonim, how to understand this pasuk. Patish means hammer. Yefotzet sala, not so clear. Sala means rock, simple meaning. Now, who is breaking what? Is the rock breaking the hammer, or the hammer breaking the rock? That is unclear. So, if you have the art scroll, on the right side, on the Hebrew side, you have the Lukutei Rashi. Or Lukutei Rashi means Rashi from other Masechtot that deal with words on this page, or topics on this page. So if you go down where it says Uchpatish, Mapatish, it says Mapatish, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines from the bottom of Lukutei Rashi. So it says Mapatish mitchalik hasala aido lekama nitzotzot. It's when the hammer breaks the rock into many pieces. That's what the pasuk is saying, right? That the Torah is like the rock that breaks into many pieces. Hashem speaks, and he's like Hashem is the hammer that breaks the rock, and the Torah is the Torah, and it breaks. And breaks into many different pieces. If you want to take a look at the whole pasuk, look at the Torah or Hasholim in Gimel. Halo chod devarika eish neum Hashem. Is Hashem's words not like fire? Uchpatish yifotzet sala. And like a hammer that breaks rocks. That's the way Rashi is learning it. Take a look at Tosafot, ma patish zeh. So he brings from the Rashbam, or Rabbi Shmuel, right? The Rashbam. Is mechalik, he learns like Rashi. Sheina patish mitchalek elo hasala. He's learning like Rashi that it's the hammer that's breaking the rock. Because double in the Meimar ma hasala mitchaleket. It should have said in the Gemara, then it should have said that the rock breaks. Pesha says, and that's not what it said. Chaim beperek Rabbi Akiva garis ma patish mitchalek, and he says you have in Gemara Shabbos that it says that the hammer is breaking, not the rock. I've called Dibur v'Dibur just because Baruch Hu mitchalek l'shivim lashon. So too Hashem's words broke into 7 different opinions. Nami masala mitchalek. He should have said, if you want to tell me to say that it was the rock that's breaking, that's what it should have said. So according to Tosafot, it's not the rock that's cracking. It's rather the hammer that is cracking, right? Umefarish Rabbeinu Tam, like Rabbeinu Tam says, "Uchpatish yefotzet sala, shapatish mitchaleket min hasala." The hammer is breaking from the rock. The rock is making the hammer break. Kidarmin b'midrash, like you have a midrash that says ma'aseh be'echad, by one person shelokach sanpirin. He got the special stone called sanpirin. Halach levodkai. He went to check it out. Not new al hasadon. He put it on the special table. Vahikhu bekornos, and he started to hit with a special instrument. Benifka hasadon, and the table that he put it on broke. Benichalek hakornis, and his instrument cracked. Besan pirin, that special stone, omim komo, stayed in its place. This is what it means. That the rock stayed in place, and the hammer is the one that's breaking. It's really what's breaking what? What is the Torah being compared to? A hammer or to a stone? Right? The Gemara in Kedushin, Daf Lamed, on the base says if the Yetzer Hara is bothering you, take it to the base medrash. That's that the hammer of Torah is going to break the Yetzer Hara, or the stone is going to break the hammer of the Yetzer Hara, right? It's similar machloket there. I think there it seems to be saying that the stone breaks the hammer, like Tosafot is saying over here. The Maharsha brings another opinion, very interesting in what this means. And he says, stop reading Salah as a rock, but rather read it as Sela, which is a coin, right? Sela is a Talmudic coin. So he says, Uchpatiship with that Sela means that you use a hammer and fire, as the pasuk in the beginning of the pasuk says fire there, to reshape an image on a coin. And he says what that means is the Torah has the ability to reshape the image of a person. That a person is like a tzura, is like a picture on a coin. And as a picture grows up with a picture of a Yetzer Hara, right? That's so the child is born just with the Yetzer Hara. And the person has that picture. And how does he change the tzura of that picture? He uses the fire of the Torah and the hammer of the Torah to re-image himself into a new coin. And how does that explain the difference? Disintegrates in many pieces. Is that every person has many madrigot that he's supposed to reach, many levels he's supposed to reach, and using Torah would help you get there. Okay, everybody, say this is where we will stop for today. Any questions? We'll take it this time. Take it off the report.